The key reason I believe the Old Testament's true is because Jesus thought it was true.
How do we know the Bible is, and this is a long answer, I know you have to give a shorter answer, but how do you know that the Bible is reliable? Do we have any actual evidence for the Old Testament claims, like the army being wiped out in the Exodus? And how do we know that they recorded the truth and didn't make it up?
Okay. Well, the way I learned how to know that the Bible's true, and I'm really summarizing a lot here, is by pointing out, that truth exists, that God exists, that miracles are possible, and the New Testament's telling the truth about the resurrection. Because if those four things are true, that there's truth, that God exists, that miracles are possible, and the New Testament is reliable enough to let us know that the resurrection occurred, then Christianity's true. Because if Jesus rose from the dead, game over, Christianity's true.
Yeah.
And so what we do when we go to a college campus is we present those four questions. Does truth exist? Does God exist? Are miracles possible? Is the New Testament reliable with regard to the resurrection? And we give evidence that the answer is yes to all those questions. And if the answer is yes to all those questions, then Christianity's true. Now you say, well, I trust Jesus because, well, look, I just have a personal policy. If somebody predicts and accomplishes his own resurrection from the dead, I just trust whatever the guy says. And if Jesus rose from the dead, he affirmed the Old Testament as the word of God, and he promised the New Testament. And so the reason I believe in much of the Old Testament, or let me put it another way, I believe in all the Old Testament, but the reason I believe in some of the Old Testament that I can't verify through archaeology or other historical means is because Jesus believed that the Old Testament was true. But I think you can also get evidence that the Old Testament's telling the truth. It's certainly telling us the truth about, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Science and philosophy both show us that the universe had a beginning, and so there must be a beginner. I think there's evidence about the Exodus. In fact, we did an entire podcast on that a couple of years ago with Titus Kennedy.
You did.
He's an archaeologist, and he gives 10 lines of evidence from Egypt that the Exodus took place. Now, this doesn't prove everything in the book of Exodus, obviously. It's just showing you that it appears that there was an Exodus, okay? Can all the details be affirmed outside the Bible? No, but that's true of every historical account. You can't affirm everything, right? So I think there's evidence for the Exodus. There's many Old Testament archaeological discoveries. They found an inscription to David. They found, just recently, it appears they found potentially the location of Sodom and Gomorrah. They found so many cities in Jerusalem. The city of David is amazing. When you go there, they may have found David's palace. They found cities like Hazor. They found Jericho. They found Megiddo's huge. Have you ever been to Megiddo? If you ever go to Israel, Megiddo's amazing. And there's so much that took place at Megiddo. There's just, I've been to Israel several times, and it's incredible. But the key reason I believe the Old Testament's true is because Jesus thought it was true. You can sum it all up into two if you wanted to, Melissa, just for if you only had a minute with somebody. Why do I believe Christianity is true? Because there's evidence that God exists and Jesus rose from the dead. Those two questions. Because God has to exist in order for Christianity to be true, and also to rise Jesus from the dead, right? So if God exists and Jesus rose from the dead, game over, Christianity is true.